You've come to the right place if you're looking to create, launch, and scale a high-value online training program. I'm your guide, Chris Badgett. I'm the co-founder of LifterLMS, the most powerful learning management system for WordPress. Stay to the end. I've got something special for you. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome back to another episode of LMS Cast. I'm joined by a special guest. His name is Julian YouTube. He's from Measure School, which is all about learning to grow your business with data and metrics. He's also a course creator, membership site entrepreneur, and I'm really excited to get into it with you today. Thanks for coming, Julian.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
For the people out there, there's kind of groups of people that listen to this podcast. We have a lot of do-it-yourself experts, and then we have WordPress professionals who build websites and do marketing for experts. Both of these groups of people want to make data-driven decisions, set up Google Analytics. It sounds easy, but it's not. And now we've got the whole new Google Analytics 4 thing that's dropping. Give us the highest level overview of what Google Analytics is, and for us that got it figured out and now something's changed with GA4, what's happening and how do we get ready for this?
Sure. I guess start at the beginning. Why was Google Analytics kind of invented? Or it's actually a company that Google bought in 2007. And the simple answer is that Google has bought this company because they obviously sell advertising on AdWords, and they kind of wanted to just give the website owners a tool to spend more money on ads by showing them the results of what is going on their website. So simply a tool, an analytics tool that helps you to decipher the behavior of your users on your website itself. So I would say that in a sense, you can use it for many different things, but traditionally for small business owners, it was just used for finding out how many people came to my website, where did they maybe come from, and then you can optimize based on that behavior. So obviously there's stuff happening on the website, but also off the website, and oftentimes you would look at people coming through SEO, maybe behave differently than people who are coming through PPC ads or so. And obviously for professional marketers, it's a great tool to actually see what is happening on the website and track conversions. So the most important question that you can answer is, where do my people come from? And do they convert actually? Do they take the action that I want them to take? And so Google Analytics was a free solution that was out there that people can install, although it was an enterprise solution at first and Google made it free. That's why it was always the most powerful tool out there for free. That's actually there for free. Now, it has become outdated over the years just because the internet was changing, the world was changing, more and more people were on mobile devices, and Google Analytics, Universal Analytics that is, was mainly built around that measurement of websites. And obviously there are also apps out there that are different use cases nowadays for the information that you might put out on the internet. And at some point, it got harder and harder to develop this product. Now, Google has come up with a new version called Google Analytics 4, and that is the fourth iteration of Google Analytics. And it's much more centered around a different data model that is much more flexible, that would allow you to track websites and apps in one property, in one interface. So you will be able to optimize both of them at the same time for one user experience. That's the central theme behind it. There are many other reasons why Google Analytics is switching now and turning off the old version in 1 year. It's actually a time they kind of announced this. And there's privacy reasons, there are feature development reasons, and many other things that we could get into. But that's the high level right now why Google Analytics 4 is now out.
This is great. You're really good at explaining this stuff, which is awesome. For a website builder using WordPress, whether for themselves or for their clients, what's the best way to get Google Analytics integrated into the website? I know there's some WordPress plugins that help making the bridge easy, or what do you recommend for people when they're trying to connect Google Analytics to their WordPress website?
Yeah, I mean, there's some great plugins out there on WordPress that you can install Google Analytics fairly easily. The thing is that I think if you want to have a base layer of data, these plugins are all fine. Everything kind of works, but you might as well know that if there's any kind of customization to the platform, at some point you might not be tracking everything that you could be tracking, or sometimes data is missed out because you have changed something in the theme, for example. And then these plugins are built for a use case, the standard use case, but if you change around the standard, then sometimes they break. Now, I'm actually a big advocate of taking control of your tracking yourself. And it was previously always very, very hard to manipulate your tracking codes because you actually need to know a little bit of coding or JavaScript in order to build in certain things. But the power really comes in if you customize your implementation to your business needs. And that's where Google also brought out a tool in 2011 now already, which was a Google Tag Manager. And Google Tag Manager is kind of a layer of sorts that lets you manipulate these codes without needing to actually code, but make changes in templates. And Google Tag Manager is actually a tag management tool. So especially if you have not only one code installed like Google Analytics, but you have AdWords conversion tracking, Facebook Pixel, many other tools that are out there, then you might want to use something like Google Tag Manager because you are managing then these codes away from what is installed on your platform. So you don't have to go into WordPress and like, where did I find this code? Where can I make these changes? But it's actually one central snippet that you install, which is Google Tag Manager. And then through that, you deploy all your different JavaScript tracking codes for your marketing. So you'll be able to, for example, when somebody purchases your product, send that on to multiple tools instead of just of Google Analytics and needing to go in and manipulate all of these codes. So Google Tag Manager is my preferred way. Obviously, it takes a little bit of getting used to and learning. We have a lot of videos on our YouTube channel if you want to check that out on this topic. And it makes it opens up the door if you really want to get into tracking to actually customize your implementation to the abilities that Google Analytics 4 or any other analytics solution actually has, rather than just the standard case. If you think of WordPress, WordPress could be a blog, it could be a membership site, it could be a course, and it could be so many things, and a WooCommerce store obviously as well. So these plugins are always built on a certain case and think, yeah, maybe this user is a WordPress user because he has a blog, but it cannot know all of the use cases that you would have for your data, especially for data, and the capabilities of the tool like Google Analytics 4 and what you can actually do with it. So that's when you get into customization. I would say first, you need to have your base layer set up. If you have Google Analytics installed, that's already great. But if you want to take it up a notch, then you want to maybe look at Google Tag Manager to install that onto your page and manage your codes through that.
That's awesome. Well, well, first, I just want to say, if this is piquing your interest, go check out measureschool.com. Julian's built training there on exactly how to do all this stuff, which is awesome. And really, this is one of the first things you should do, in my opinion, when setting up an online business. Get this in place and design with data and tracking in mind from day one. It's super important. I want to unpack this idea of Tag Manager specifically for course creators out there, because the word tag gets used a lot. It gets used in like marketing, CRM, like tagging contacts. It gets used in WordPress for like blog categories and tags, something called taxonomy. Yeah. But what does a tag mean in the world of Google Analytics? And then also, if you can weave into your answer, moving kind of full funnel, like maybe we get some traffic, they opt into something, and then maybe they end up on an email list, and then they buy something, and maybe we want to, over time sell that person more things. So how do we think about what tags are and how to use them across the full customer journey?
Right. Yeah. Okay. I guess where we could start is like in terms of Google Tag Manager, the tag is really the tracking code that you would normally deploy. So you have something called marketing tags that marketers oftentimes have to just install. And traditionally, you had to run over to the developer and tell him, hey, can you install this tag for me on this website? And then maybe you want to track something specific to, did somebody click on the add to cart button? And there needs to be another tracking code installed. So Google Tag Manager gives you the ability to install these these data packages that you want to send over to the tool via a central management console. And you can actually customize triggers. For example, I want to fire this on a click. I want to fire this when somebody scrolls down a page. You can pick up all of these different interactions on your page that, and it makes it way easier to install it. And also then send the right data over to the tools and do a little bit of debugging. And it takes in other functionality from web development, for example, version control. So tracking, if you work in a professional environment, if the tracking breaks, the marketer, if you spend a sizable amount on marketing, for example, on a PPC campaign, if they cannot track conversions in the end anymore, then you're losing out on very, very important data because you're not paying Google, for example, with PPC ads to drive traffic to your website at first, because the investment is so high. At first, you are just getting data from them to know what should be working, what shouldn't not be working. So if you're not tracking and something breaks there, then you're losing out on data. And Google Tag Manager kind of gives you all the tools to install these tracking codes reliably on your website. Now, when we get into membership sites, what is actually possible with maybe Google Tag Manager, maybe with Google Analytics or other tools out there? There are definitely many different tools we also use on our platform in order to engage users and help them throughout their customer journey. And I think marketing tags cannot only be seen with Google Analytics in mind or with tracking in mind, but even a chatbot or a chat tool that you install for customer service inside of your members area is already a little code that you need to install. And you could deploy this through Google Tag Manager, for example, or an intercom also tracks a lot of data. So, or ActiveCampaign, for example, they are not just an email marketing tool anymore. They are actually tracking machines because you want to connect your data with actual emails that you send out and so on. So you can utilize Google Tag Manager throughout the lifetime or on your website, the lifetime of the user on your through the journey of your website. Now, if I can come up with some examples. So first of all, Google Analytics is really great in finding out where did your user come from. So if you install Google Analytics just plainly on your website, then that's already a great step forward because you know how many people are coming to the website and what are they doing. But then we can customize and actually track interactions. So we can find out what are people actually up to on our website. And for membership sites, or course creators specifically, I could think of, first of all, the sale is obviously very important. That's the conversion when somebody signs up. But even then, when somebody has the login details, they actually log into the site, right? And that's when we can actually have a chance to identify the user, kind of. And in Google Analytics, normally everything is pretty anonymous. You don't really know who is who. But once the user logs in, you have the chance to send something over called the user ID. And then you have a list of user IDs that you can actually see what the single user click on or which pages did he visit. That's very powerful data that it might be also available in other tools. So if you think of an intercom, for example, if you wanted to find any kind of information about the user has used this specific feature inside of your membership site, and now you want to show him a message, that needs to be sent into Intercom first. And sometimes you need to track certain interactions on your page. With Google Tag Manager, you can do that and have the user ID available, send it all over to Intercom, and then Intercom will take over and fire that message or pop up that message for that user or send him out an email or so, right? So we can do a lot on that behavioral targeting, even once the user is logged in. And that requires a lot of, or a little bit of customization of your tracking tools as well. And then later on, you can obviously connect more and more tools, automation tools to it to fire personalized emails or personalized messaging to the user as well. So there's a lot of abilities of tracking that you can do with Google Tag Manager, but then also the tools itself, depending on how creative you want to be with your marketing later on, when the user is inside of the tool itself, is really up to you what capabilities you want to use.
That is so cool. I have some questions about your membership site journey yourself, but before we get into that, What's the fastest way for somebody to get started with Google Analytics today and Google Tag Manager?
Yeah, I guess the fastest way is to install it. I think there are good plugins out there to install Google Tag Manager as well on your website. And then just have a look at the different tutorials that are out there. I mean, we on our YouTube channel, we have free Google Tag Manager for Beginners course, for example, that gets you used to how to actually deploy codes. Once you have them installed, also your marketer, if you ever grow your team, will thank you so much for it, because it's just so much easier to edit the codes later on, or also keep track of what has been actually happening. So we oftentimes go into businesses and ask them, so what tracking do you have installed? Do you have any kind of plan of that, or at least a sheet or something? And there's just no documentation whatsoever. Although even as marketing grows, you should have a plan, just like developers. Documentation is the rule that everybody should have in mind, even for their marketing as well. And that's why I think, if you set it up, install Google Tag Manager, then through Google Tag Manager, you want to install Google Analytics, and your tracking codes like the Facebook pixel, I would say, is a really good way to get started, and doesn't have to be too complicated. You don't have to do all the customizations. Only if you feel like, hey, I really want to find out how many people clicked that button or scrolled down that page, or even saw a certain part of the page, you can build that in with Google Tag Manager, and then have that data available in GA4 or in your Facebook pixel to retarget also people, or in your Google ads. So there's a lot of possibilities, but to get started, just go over to Google Tag Manager, sign up for an account, and install it onto your website.
That's awesome. Now, and your YouTube channel has a lot of videos on this kind of thing. It's called Measure School. And as of this recording, you've got over 150,000 subscribers. A lot of course creators and coaches and membership site people are trying to also build up YouTube, because it's a great marketing channel and a great way to build trust and authority in your niche. What are some tips that you learned in your journey to over 150,000 subscribers on YouTube?
Yeah, I think nobody wants to hear this, but it's consistency. In the end, I've been doing videos for 7 years. When I started out, I actually looked at different marketing techniques that were out there, right? SEO and so on. And in the end, I kind of said, well, I created this course, and back then it was on Udemy. I created this course, and I had fun kind of creating the videos for this course. Now, how can I market this? Well, I could create more videos and put them out there on YouTube, which is also the second largest search engine. So I just started consistently every week pumping out one video, just a tutorial at the beginning. And now we do many different other styles of videos, but we kind of just stay consistent. And it was not, I mean, there are many other channels that are much bigger than us, done this in quarter of the time than us, but for us it's like knowing your niche, knowing your audience that you have there, and just continue putting stuff out there, and people will learn from that, and you build a brand, people know you, and then they also start going over to your website, maybe buy your courses or so. But unfortunately, I mean, there's tons of other tips out there, but you already had some really cool people on the podcast as well to talk about this. So maybe go back to the experts. I'm just here with a small niche, dedicated audience, keeping on putting out a video every week and trying to make this as valuable as possible. That's kind of the name of the game, I guess.
That's awesome. Well, so we can learn from you, Julian, and your membership site journey. Where is it? Like, what's the structure of it today? Like, you have like a membership site with lots of courses in it. You do some private coaching. Yeah. Like, what's kind of in your stack or the offer that you offer there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the thing is also kind of customized for our market. We tried a lot of things out. So at the beginning, I was on Udemy. Later, I built my own WordPress website. Back then, there were not many plugins out there where you can actually do a membership website with. Now there are a little bit more. And I kind of experimented a lot with first the model of courses. So having standalone courses. That kind of went pretty well. At the same time, I must say that the journey was a little bit of a roller coaster. So a lot of people remember that model when you close a course and open up a course again and close a course. So you go through a roller coaster in terms of revenue and also in terms of your stress level, I would say. So for me, when we were still a small team, I kind of was searching for a way that I could make it more stable. And the membership model kind of was appealing. At the same time, it was a little bit overwhelming looking at, oh, I don't have that much content that I could really put it behind a membership site. Nowadays, I think having progressed in that journey, we kind of made that step and said, okay, let's take everything into a membership site and start producing content just like we do it on YouTube, more and more. And over the time, we have many more courses, little tools that I've developed. We have resources in there. We have and we have a lot of live components nowadays in the community, obviously. But over the years, we kind of found out that the money inside of and in analytics, these are highly specialized people. I think is mainly in the consulting, really. And we still get a lot of consulting requests from people on YouTube. Nowadays, we're trying to build a membership with a very specific purpose. We are training people that want to become tracking experts in their agencies or in their freelance business. And then we kind of give them always the components of knowledge. So we have up-to-date courses. At the same time, we want to provide them also a live training component or a coaching component where we actually answer their questions on an ongoing basis, because not everybody has always all the answers. And it's great to have a little small community where people can actually get their questions answered. So that's kind of from an offer perspective. Do you want to hear about the tech side of things, or?
Sure.
Well, yeah. We built everything on WordPress, and it's still simply built by myself. We don't have a developer. Sometimes stuff breaks, but that's okay. I mean, there's a lot of things that are latched on, and we kind of early on, I became a big fan of ActiveCampaign. That tool has also grown immensely over the years, but there was a LM or membership plugin that connects directly to ActiveCampaign, which is Active Member 360. So we use that as a kind of the restrictions on the WordPress side. So we built everything in WordPress, and our lessons are running on a theme called Memberoni. And then we have a few extra things inside of the membership where we, for example, try to create some member structure or a section on the side where you can have a coaching request or coaching experience where you can ask questions and you get answers from me or my team. We still have a Facebook group. We don't have a private forum there. And yeah, that's kind of the tech stack, I think, in terms of what we do. Vimeo, obviously, it's also a great tool to work with. I'm actually a pretty big fan now of Vimeo's live streaming, although it's it's a little bit expensive. But what you can do nowadays is when we have calls, for example, on Zoom, when we have our office hours, for example, you can stream them to Vimeo, and then we have an instant recording of that on Vimeo itself and can embed that everywhere. So that has been really helpful for us. So hopefully that helps other people out to make a decision on it, maybe.
That's awesome. What where would you say the majority of the leads for your members or students come from? Is it mostly from YouTube or SEO, or I'm sure you're doing a lot of different things, but what seems to really work for you?
So YouTube is definitely our biggest channel. It's always a little bit harder to tell because it's a lot of brand building on YouTube. There's not one video that drives all the traffic, for example, or the links. People binge watch on YouTube and then they go over and at some point want to be part of the membership. We are putting effort into SEO that's still growing. We also have some really cool blog posts that are ranking and bringing in people as well. And then we kind of have like appearances when I speak at a conference or in a podcast. So that's kind of the way that people find us and start training with us. Yeah.
That's awesome. What's your advice for somebody who is wanting to build a membership site and they're like kind of deep in the expertise? Like you're clearly a deep Google Analytics kind of marketing metrics kind of person, and sometimes it's hard to package all that into digestible, useful courses or trainings or whatever. How did you develop that ability to teach without overwhelming people?
Yeah, you need to know your target audience very closely. I actually went myself through a business coaching in the last few months, and uh, although I have been doing this business for 7 years, and you think you know everything, they sat me down again and said like, okay, let's talk about your ideal target audience, right? And you're like, oh, I already know it, but you find out you don't really know it. And if you can really hone in on this, it makes so much more so much more powerful thinking in terms of the copy that you write, but then also the courses that you create, because you have that person in the back of your mind, and then you become somebody that speaks to your audience really, because they see this and say, oh, this is exactly what I was looking for. That's when it becomes really, really powerful. And getting these basics down is crucial, I think. At the same time, we are listening to our members a lot. Now, it is easy nowadays to fall into the trap of just going after the new shiny thing out there. I mean, Google Analytics 4 is definitely new, maybe not as shiny yet, but it's going to become a really big deal. But not selling yourself out and saying, okay, I'm going to make all the content on Google Analytics 4 for free on YouTube. We also like kind of have our members as our members are our customers, obviously, and these are the people that we want to give the information first to. That's what they pay for, and therefore we kind of try to provide value to them first. The YouTube audience is there definitely as well, but at the same time, they have not yet decided to buy, and we want to keep them up to date with everything that we do and all the new things that are coming out, but maybe not at all costs. So for me, it's always was a struggle over the last few years to keep that kind of balance between paid content and free content as well. But as long as you know your audience and who you're talking to, you will be able to like kind of always find the motivation to provide value to them.
That's awesome. I love seeing what you're doing. It's awesome to be on the journey with you. We've been going for about 8 years, and it's the long game. Like, you've been showing up and doing your thing and mastering your skill set over 7 years.
Yeah, I started listening to your podcast, many years ago, and then I kind of fell off. But at the same time, I was always looking out for membership software, what is happening there, and I like utmost respect for building a software business. It's kind of a hard business, but at the same time, it's probably pretty rewarding. At some point, we want to also get into building something up for WordPress. I love the WordPress community as well, so it's really cool to see. Although there are other solutions now out there, right? For course builders, for membership site owners, WordPress is still something that I'm like, I'm really still in love with it, and look at the capabilities from that perspective. And I love it from a tracking perspective as well, because you can build so many things in by yourself or with the help of a developer in a few hours, rather than these closed off systems. I don't want to name any names, but there are some really big systems. There's Shopify out there which doesn't integrate with GA4 yet, right? So for example, other also membership site softwares and so on just have a terrible implementation of these tracking systems, and you could do so much more with the data if you just had an open system like WordPress to actually put that in.
Absolutely. That's Julian Juneman. He's from measureschool.com. Also, go check out the Measure School YouTube channel. That is a place to go to educate yourself. And I 100% recommend, one of the first things you should ever do when you set up a WordPress site for courses or anything is to get your Google Analytics plan in place so you can be tracking from day one. Any final words for the people, or anywhere else they can connect with you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. We are mainly, we have the social medias out there. If you also want to check out, if you feel like you are a professional marketer and want to step up your game in tracking, check out Measure Masters. That's our program for marketers who want to take this seriously, this whole tracking topic. And otherwise, that's basically it for me. Yeah.
Awesome, Julian. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this episode of LMS Cast. Did you enjoy that episode? Tell your friends and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And I've got a gift for you over at LifterLMS.com/gift. Go to LifterLMS.com/gift. Keep learning, keep taking action, and I'll see you in the next episode.